stand on guard for thee.
The doors be open. Merci beaucoup. Alors, order. Statements by members. Declaration de député, the honourable member for Brampton East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, April is Sikh Heritage Month, as Canadians across the country highlight and honour the many contributions that Sikh Canadians have made in Canada. It was in April in 1699 when Guru Gobind Singh Ji created the Khalsa Panth. Around the world, Sikhs believe in meditation, community service, hard work, helping out the less fortunate. But these aren't just Sikh values, they're Canadian values. Sikh Heritage Month is not just an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of Sikh Canadians, but more importantly, an opportunity to educate not just Canadians, but people all around the world about the Sikh history. Happy Sikh Heritage Month to all those celebrating across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Parkdale High Park.
We were all shocked by the terrorist massacre of 50 innocent Muslims in New Zealand. It was a stark reminder of our own homegrown terrorism here in Canada, which manifested in the Quebec mass murder of 6 men in 2017. But in times of horror, we also find examples of hope. First was a circle of peace in my riding, which formed around the Hamza Mosque. During Friday prayers, 50 people, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, and secular folks, sent a message of solidarity to Muslims in Parkdale that they are welcome and that they are safe. Second is the example set by Windermere United Church. On the rented sign outside the church, they regularly post messages of solidarity. When the sign owner refused to post messages celebrating Ramadan and Pride, Reverend Alexa Gilmore ended her rental agreement and filed a human rights complaint. The church is now fundraising for a new sign with the help of neighbors like Kate Manson and Maggie Knoss, who aren't even congregants but felt compelled to stand up for inclusion and to stand against Islamophobia and homophobia. Out of the darkness, we can indeed find light, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The honourable member for Yorkton Melville.
Mr. Speaker, we parliamentarians have the privilege of being invited to special events that reflect a rich variety of cultures and faiths in Canada. One such experience for me was to attend a celebration ending the Muslim fast of Ramadan at Ottawa City Hall. I was warmly welcomed and enjoyed it very much. Weekly, a group of parliamentarians meet for breakfast, Christian prayer, and biblical devotion, leaving our partisanship at the door, choosing to support and encourage each other as we seek to serve God in this place. Today, I invite all parliamentarians to the longest-running annual event on the Hill, historically hosted by speakers of both places since 1964, the Canadian National Prayer Breakfast on May 2nd. 650 individuals from across Canada and around the world will come together to pray for our nation and the world, including 100 Canadian youth attending the National Christian Youth Summit. It's going to be a wonderful event, a great opportunity for my colleagues in this House to experience seeing and hearing the Christian faith celebrated on the Hill.
The honourable member for Steveston Richmond East.
Mr. Speaker, Richmond's Bullard Wrestling Club scored another win recently at the BC High School Championship because of the outstanding performances by 5 area students who train at their club. Under the mentorship of Arjun and Jag Bullard, these students came away with medals and the experience of a lifetime. These aren't the first medals for the club. Both Arjun and Jag have represented Canada on the world stage with distinction, and often as the first Sikhs and Punjabi Canadians in their competitions. Arjun and Jag are among the volunteers coaching wrestling to young members, practicing out of a small gym on the family's farm. They also work with the Esteem Team program, helping to inspire and activate young people. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Bullard family for their contributions to youth and sport in Richmond and wish them continuing success.
Yes. Bravo. Bravo. Honourable member for Churchill, Kiewit-Nookaski.
Mr. Speaker, last week I visited Lac Brochet, a First Nation in northern Manitoba. I'm thankful for the warm welcome I received, but the discussion was serious. Lac Brochet is on the forefront of climate change. There are numerous signs, including the early melt of the ice road, but nowhere is it more evident than the caribou. They're moving further and further away from their traditional territory. The people of the Denessling, like their neighbors, the Saizi Dene, depend on the caribou hunt for subsistence, for healthy food, for tradition, for life. The caribou are moving too far for a community hunt, and they are asking for the resources to be able to send their hunters to be able to provide for elders and others. Climate change has already begun its destruction. And instead of supporting American billionaires by buying out a pipeline, it is First Nations like Lac Brochet and others that need support for the caribou hunt, for their roads, for their housing. And we all need bold leadership like a Green New Deal. The people of Lac Brochet, our north, and our country are depending on it. Thank you, Mussy.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Kitchener Rangers Hockey Club has been a source of pride for my community since 1963. They have seen over 200 alumni go on to play in the NHL or the World Hockey League. Players like Jonathan Jancis, who finished this season with a league-leading 24 power play goals, give their all on and off the ice throughout the year. Along with maintaining a grueling training schedule, Rangers players also attend great educational institutions in my community like Grand River Collegiate and the University of Waterloo. The Rangers maintain strong partnerships with numerous not-for-profits throughout the Waterloo region. While my team won 34 of 69 games this year, they lost their spot in the OHL semifinals to the Guelph Storm.
Yay, Storm.
Due to a wager I made with my honorable colleague from that city, I must temporarily don a Guelph Storm jersey. However, I look forward to standing in this house next year as I watch the same colleague don a Rangers jersey. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I say go Musa. Number for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Mr. Speaker, this week, the Prime Minister's carbon tax took effect, immediately raising the price of everything from gas to home heating to groceries. We know that this is nothing more than a tax grab to help the Prime Minister pay for his reckless spending because he's exempting Canada's biggest producers of emissions and charging small business owners, commuters, and hockey moms and dads while suggesting that they take public transit. Well, that's not possible for many rural Canadians, like in Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes. Farmers in my riding are on the cutting edge of sustainability and innovation, but the Prime Minister's carbon tax is raising price to get crops to market, to buy fertilizer and grain drying, causing margins to shrink. They can't afford to make new investments in sustainability while they're now worried about their bottom line and keeping the lights on. Make no mistake about it. The Prime Minister's carbon tax isn't an environmental plan, it's a tax plan.
The honourable member for Surrey Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In Canada, we feel and experience diversity in many ways. In Surrey, we see it on motorcycles, thanks to the Sikh Motorcycle Club Canada. This past weekend, I joined Gyani Narinder Singh and Gurdwara Dukh Nivaran Sahib to lend my support to Sikh Motorcycle Club members Jitinder Singh Chauhan, Janta Singh Taliwal, Sukhveer Singh Malaith, Ajad Inder Singh Sidhu, Jasmeet Paul Singh and Parvjeet Singh Takhar, who are taking part in World Tour 2019, right from the United Kingdom to the Golden Temple in celebration of the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and to support humanitarian work by raising funds for Khalsa Aid. Please join me in congratulating the Sikh Motorcycle Club members for all they do to give back and live up to the values we hold dear as Canadians.
The honourable member for Oakville North Burlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government knows the importance of bringing a gender lens to policy making, and we know that many health conditions disproportionately affect women. Heart disease and stroke is the #1 cause of premature death in women in Canada. In addition, women are disproportionately impacted in their access to medication, and women are more likely to be unable to access medications for financial reasons, which is why initiatives like National Pharmacare are so important. Women's health is an area of gender equality that we can tackle together. Today we're joined by Heart and Stroke and their CEO, Mr. Yves Savoy, who are here advocating for women's heart and brain health. This evening, they're hosting a reception on Parliament Hill. Women with lived experience related to heart disease and stroke will be in attendance to share their expertise. I'm proud to be co-sponsoring this event along with my colleague, Senator McFedrin, and I encourage all members to attend. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Prince Albert.
Mr. Speaker. the Canada-China canola crisis is a national economic emergency that must be dealt with now. Canadian farmers produce the highest quality canola in the world. The quality of the product is not the issue. Mr. Speaker, the failed leadership of the Prime Minister is the issue. He's hurting our farmers. The Prime Minister's bungling of the relationship with China is now at an ugly crossroads with SNC-Lavalin scandal. He is lecturing Chinese officials on the independence of Canada's judicial system, while at the same time bullying the former Attorney General has shown the global leaders he will dismiss the rule of law for political gains. Shameful. Our international trading partners know this, Mr. Speaker, and now our farmers are paying the price. The price of canola continues to drop. Farmers are now stuck with product they cannot sell. Farmers are now making decisions to what to seed this spring. They're worried they will not have the cash to pay this year's bills. Farmers need to know that this government is going to repair its relationship with China. Right now, they have no confidence that this government has a plan, and they're tired to be the ones to pay for this Prime Minister's failures.
The Honourable Member for Laval-Isle. Mr. Speaker, April is Autism Awareness Month, and I want to take this opportunity to recognize the excellent work of the Laval Autism Society. This not-for-profit organization has been working since 1995 to improve the quality of life of families in Laval. Their talented team runs innovative, inclusive projects for its clients, all while defending the rights and interests of people with autism spectrum disorder and with Fragile X syndrome. I'm honored to announce that I have been named Ambassador of the Laval Autism Society, and I will be very proudly participating in their events throughout the month of April. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The
Honourable Member for Vimy. Mr. Speaker, last March, as a member of the Standing Committee on the Status of Women, I attended the 63rd session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women in New York City. I was accompanied by my colleagues from the Canadian delegation, led by the Minister for Gender Equality. We reiterated Canada's intention to empower Canadian women and attain gender equality.
As an official delegate for the Inter-Parliamentary Union, along with my global counterparts, we share best practices for increasing women's political participation around the world. As parliamentarians, women, peace, and security should be in our DNA, and we need to be more vigilant to make sure that women are always at the peace negotiations table. I'm very proud of Canada's leadership at the CSW. Together, let's continue to share Canada's experience and work towards a better future for women everywhere. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to wish all daughters of the vote a warm welcome on the Hill.
To go to the Honourable Member for Edmonton, Wetaskiwin. I think he has someone special in the gallery. The Honourable Member.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday was World Autism Awareness Day and the anniversary of my son Jaden's diagnosis at age 2. Autism comes with no end of labels, and in Jaden's case, one of those labels is nonverbal. Ironically, I think Jaden's most important label is his name. I say ironically because unbeknownst to us when we named him, Jaden's name means God has heard. There are few things I know for sure, but I know this. My 23-year-old nonverbal son has something to say. He says it in the simple words he types or writes. He says it with a sideways smile, a mysterious giggle, a whimsical look, and sometimes with heartfelt tears. And if you have the patience to just wait on him, quietly be present with him, joining him in the moment, in his moment, he will touch your heart in the most magical of ways. You will hear his voice, and you will never forget what he has to say.
The The Honourable Member for Pontiac.
Mr. Speaker, I invite you and all Canadians to picture yourself as a kid at summer camp in your youth, surrounded by friends at a campfire, learning how to swim and paddle a canoe, gazing at the stars, dreaming big. That is what camp is all about. Growing up, having fun, making friends, and building that Canadian character. So I'm pleased today to stand in the House to celebrate Camp Day on the Hill and to recognize the work of the Tim Hortons Children Foundation, which helps youth from economically disadvantaged families change their life story through that camp experience. I welcome today to Parliament Hill two special ambassadors for Camp Day on the Hill, Hitik Sharma and Bitisho Muma. Et je suis fier aussi.
And I'm also proud to say that at Crillon, in my riding of Pontiac, the Camp des Voyageurs is one of the Foundation's 6 summer camps and the only Francophone summer camp in Canada. Mr. Speaker, we all want to see young people in Canada grow up and flourish. So I thank the Tim Hortons Children's Foundation for everything that they do for our young people in Pontiac and across Canada.
L'honorable député de Salaberry.
The Honourable Member for Salaberry-sur-Roi. Today, the entire New Democratic Caucus would like to recognize the 338 participants in Daughters of the Vote, which was created by Equal Voice. I had the opportunity to talk to some of them yesterday, and their passion was plain to see. It's so encouraging to see a new generation of politically engaged women. Perhaps one of you will receive a Nobel Prize like Malala Yousafzai, or be recognized by your peers like Thérèse Casgrain, a women's rights activist, founding member of the Ligue des Droits et Libertés, and the first female party leader. Unfortunately, these female role models are all too often unrecognized because of sexism or our overly patriarchal culture. 842 men have received the Nobel Prize, compared to only 51 women. In this House, only 26% of members are women. And I admire those who dare to stand up for their principles. My message for women is simple. No glass ceiling or obstacle can stand in the way of your goals. Trust yourself, keep your heads up, and keep being yourself.
The honourable member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, we come to this House for the opportunity to shape the future direction of the nation. We must act in the best interest of Canada with honour and integrity. But that's not how this Prime Minister sees it. Yesterday, he showed us what happens to those who choose to honour the responsibility of their office ahead of the wishes of the Prime Minister. His message to Canadians is clear. If you tell the truth and stand on principle, there's no place for you in the Liberal Party. This message is not new. I felt it as well. I swore an oath to put my needs of my country first, so I didn't leave the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party left me. We must hold our elected officials to a higher standard as a reflection of the office that they hold and the example they set for all Canadians. But this Prime Minister is willing to sacrifice our democracy, discard the rule of law, and politically interfere in a criminal prosecution. That's how far this Liberal Prime Minister will go to retain power and cover up the truth at the expense of Canada.
Honourable member for Winnipeg South.
Mr. Speaker, today we were part of history when 338 young women from across Canada took their seats in this place and raised their voices. Le Canada a besoin.
Canada needs more women in politics, in business, and in public life, if we want our economy to prosper.
The work of Equal Voice and Daughters of the Vote not only empowers young women to seek public office, it gives them the tools they need to lead in their communities. Hear, hear. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, bringing more young women into the political process and our democratic institutions is necessary if we want to achieve gender equality.
Bringing more young women into the political process and our democratic institutions is absolutely necessary if we are to truly achieve gender equality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. Questions, questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, so far everything to date that the former Attorney General has said about this corruption scandal has been proven to be true. And everything the Prime Minister has said, from claiming that he never put pressure on her to that she never came forward with her concerns, has been proven to be false. So why does telling the truth get you kicked out of the Liberal Party?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Everyone in this place knows that being a member of a caucus comes with both rights and responsibilities. And part of that responsibility is around trust. I had extensive conversations with members of our caucus who informed me that they felt the trust was broken. I reflected on it. We worked with the two individuals in question and made the determination that maintaining trust so we could continue to work on the big things that matter to Canadians, whether it's reconciliation, whether it's protecting our environment or growing the economy for the middle class, meant that we would move forward together.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Mr. Speaker, to date, everything the former Attorney General has said about the PM's corruption scandal has proved true, and everything the Prime Minister has said has proved false. So why is the Prime Minister continuing to say things that he knows to be untrue? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, as everyone knows here in this House, being a member of a caucus comes with rights and responsibilities, and that is why I listened to what our caucus members had to say, and we knew that this trust that should be within a caucus was essential if we want to continue to fight for things that are important, whether it's fight against climate change or having a strong economy for everyone. And that is why we took this difficult decision, and we're going to continue united on things that matter. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Trust that has been broken is between this Prime Minister and Canadians who have seen his abuse of power. Now, he's trying to chalk this all up as some kind of internal Liberal civil war, like the Martin Chrétien days. But this is different. This isn't about factions within caucus. This is about two strong individuals who saw something that was wrong and decided to stand up to it. So why does speaking truth to power disqualify you from sitting as a Liberal?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I take no lessons from the Conservatives on the matter of strong leadership. We have 18 strong women members of Cabinet who lead every day on the big issues that matter to Canadians, from our place in the world to investing in resources for women's organizations to bringing extraordinary young women to Ottawa on a day like this from every corner of the country. We will continue to lead the way in a way that matters to Canadians and to this world.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He's continuing to remove everyone who has stood up to his abuse of power and his cover-up of this scandal. That's right. Now, pressuring an Attorney General to interfere in a criminal proceeding, that's wrong. Kicking out two members of Parliament who stood up to his abuse of power, that's unconscionable. Yeah. So again, why does telling the truth get you kicked out of the Liberal Party?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
What has been obvious for a number of weeks now is the Conservatives will go to any ends to avoid talking about the budget, to avoid talking about climate change, to avoid talking about the things that matter deeply to Canadians. We are proud that in our last budget we invested significantly in women's organizations across the country. We put a program forward so first-time home buyers can actually get into their home ownership sooner. We've moved forward on significant measures to fight climate change. We will continue to focus on the things that matter to Canadians, even if the Conservatives stay focused on us.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, standing up for the independence of our rule of law is important to every single Canadian. And the Prime Minister needn't worry. We can talk about the falsehoods that he says about his record later. But today we're talking about the things that he has said about this scandal that just aren't true. We've all heard the tape. We know now that the Prime Minister sent in his top officials to pressure the former Attorney General. And we've seen him kick out those individuals who stood up to him. So again, why is the Liberal Party safe for those who spread falsehoods, but not safe for truth tellers?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I would
be careful about throwing stones about falsehoods when I'm sitting in the official opposition's chair. The fact of the matter is we are going to continue to focus on the things that matter to Canadians. And yes, the integrity of our institutions and the rule of law matter deeply to Canadians like they matter to us. And that is why we will continue to respect our institutions and the rule of law, even as we fight for jobs. We stand up for workers across this country, and we continue to do the things that Canadians expected us to do after 10 years of failure by the Conservatives.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the member for Timmins James Bay and I visited Grassy Narrows, we were devastated by the impact of mercury poisoning on young people and on the community. Now, reconciliation is not just in words, it's in actions. When Indigenous activists raised concerns about the mercury poisoning in Grassy Narrows, the Prime Minister responded by making a joke at their expense. Mr. Speaker, that's not leadership. Will the Prime Minister commit today to going to Grassy Narrows, meeting with the community that's suffering with mercury poisoning, and meet with the leadership and commit to action?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize and apologize again for the comments I made. They lacked respect. They were unacceptable. We know that the situation in Grassy Narrows has been dire for a long time. That is why we've committed to moving forward on building the resources for them. We've continued to work in partnership with the province that holds a significant area of responsibility in this matter to ensure that we are supporting the people of Grassy Narrows. I'm happy to say that the Minister of Indigenous Services just had a conversation with Chief Turtle. We will continue to work with the community of Grassy Narrows on concrete solutions.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, the question is whether he would go there or not. He doesn't seem to answer. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, several women are on the Hill today to be encouraged to get involved in politics. The Prime Minister has sent them a clear message. If you dare to be critical or defend your principles, such as the independence of our judiciary, he will kick you out. How can the Prime Minister think he's encouraging these women with a message such as this? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, my message for young women here today and throughout the country is that they should get involved in politics. We need their opinions. We need a great variety of opinions and perspectives in this House. We have to hear them. We won't always agree with everyone, and that is why we have this House, to have debate, to hear different perspectives. But we have to listen to each other, and we have to act according to our values. That's what we've always done, and that's what we are doing. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister also sent the same message to several young people who had hoped that politics would be done differently. For this Prime Minister, having the courage to put the interests of Canadians before those of their party is not possible. Why is he kicking out women who defend their principles, which go before any political party? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. I agree entirely, Mr. Speaker, that the interests of Canadians go before those of political parties, and that is exactly why we are focusing on reconciliation, on economic growth, on gender parity, on investment in communities throughout the country, on pharmacare plans. We're doing this for our communities. We're investing in infrastructure. We're acting for Canadians instead of playing politics, Mr. Speaker.
For Burnaby South.
Today, hundreds of determined young women are in the House with Daughters of the Vote. And I've spoken with them. We spoke with them about the importance of getting involved and running for office. But what have they seen this week? They've seen women speak truth to power and then get shown the door. Mr. Speaker, what message is the Prime Minister sending to Canadians, particularly to young women, when he kicks out former cabinet ministers just for doing the right thing?
Hear, hear. Right Honourable Prime Minister. Order. Order. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am certain that the member for Burnaby South did not mean to even inadvertently disparage the extraordinary women who remain in our government, who continue to lead every day on issues that matter deeply to Canadians, whether it's foreign affairs, whether it's official languages, whether it's employment, whether it's the status of women, whether it's the very first Minister of Agriculture who happens to be a woman, whether it's the first woman government House Leader. There is an extraordinary range of strong women in all seats in this House that are making a difference with what they deeply believe in. I know he didn't mean to disparage any one of them.
The Honourable Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, during his press conference on February 15th, the Prime Minister said that the Attorney General had the responsibility to speak up. We know that she did so. She told the Prime Minister and to the Finance Minister. She spoke to the Clerk of the Privy Council and many other people in his office to stop. How can he maintain that she didn't speak up? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we heard hours and hours of testimony for all the people involved in this affair, including 4 hours of testimony from the former Attorney General, who we gave her an unprecedented waiver to speak fully about this case by waiving solicitor-client privilege and cabinet confidence. We know it's important to hear all different viewpoints, and they were heard. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
There's the Prime Minister's viewpoint, and there's the truth.
Yeah.
After all of that, there's still massive inconsistencies between what the Prime Minister has said and what testimony has shown. So I have a very, very simple question for the Prime Minister. When was the first time the Prime Minister spoke to the Clerk of the Privy Council after the 19th of December phone call with the former Attorney General?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, both my office and the clerk himself have confirmed that I did not get a debrief on that particular conversation. Mr. Speaker, but what we see once again is the members opposite trying to talk about anything other than the economy, the budget, the canola challenge that our Western farmers are facing right now, the kinds of things that matter to Canadians. It's been 339 days, Mr. Speaker, since the member opposite promised Canadians he'd soon release a climate change plan, and we're still waiting. No wonder he doesn't want to talk.
My honourable friend from Lac Mégantic Érable should not interrupt when other people have the floor. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I didn't ask if he got a debrief. I asked when the first time he spoke to the Clerk of the Privy Council was after that phone call. So I'll try it a slightly different way. Did the Prime Minister know anything about that phone call between the Clerk of the Privy Council and the former Attorney General on December 19th? Yes. What do we know? Or no?
Honourable Prime Minister.
There have been hours and hours of testimony at the Justice Committee by a broad range of actors in this, including by the former Attorney General herself, who was given an unprecedented waiver that allowed her to speak fully on matters regarding SNC-Lavalin and her time as Attorney General. I can understand that the members opposite want to stay on this and not want to talk about the fact that they have no plan to fight climate change, that they have no plan for the economy, that they have no plan for ensuring jobs of the future, that they continue to need to play politics.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Mr. Speaker, he can't answer a simple yes or no question. There are only two options. Either he knew about it or he didn't know about it. So, once again, did the Prime Minister know anything about that phone call on December 19th between the former Attorney General and the Clerk of the Privy Council? There's only one option. Is it yes or is it no?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
We have a Justice Committee that has been tasked with looking into this matter. We have an Ethics Commissioner that, for those people watching today, has as a role to make determinations about what's going on in this House. Now, in this House, members opposite are free to make all sorts of accusations, allegations, and sling mud as they will. But we have an Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner who is tasked with digging to the bottom of things to understand what is political dross and what is reality. That is the work that we support. That is what we will continue.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, nobody would have to dig through anything if this Prime Minister didn't abuse his power to interfere in a court proceeding. Nobody would have to dig through anything if this Prime Minister could just answer a simple question. Did he know about that phone call on December 19th? Yes or no?
Honourable Prime Minister.
What we have right now is a Conservative Party desperate to try and stretch out a matter that has consumed.
Order. I think particularly today members should be aware of their responsibility to listen to others and to points of view they disagree with. That's vital in our democracy, as members all know, and I would ask them to show some respect for that concept. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right now we see a Conservative Party trying to stretch out an issue that has dominated headlines for the past weeks because they want to keep talking about anything other than the issues that matter to Canadians, whether it be a real plan to fight climate change or a budget that helps Canadians get the training they need to be able to continue in the workforce, that makes education more affordable, that helps homebuyers buy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You'll note that he just can't seem to bring himself to answer a very simple question, yes or no. And there's a reason why this is important, because from the beginning, he has always claimed that he never put pressure on the former Attorney General. In that phone call, the clerk said 4 times that the Prime Minister was, quote, firm. He also claims that he had no idea that the phone call took place and that she never brought her concerns to his office. So once again, yes or no? Did he know anything about the call before or after? It's one of those 2 options, yes or no.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
As we have said repeatedly, as we have heard repeatedly, I was not debriefed on that conversation between the clerk and the minister. I should have spoken directly with the minister. There wasn't an opportunity to do that. I've continued to say that we know we need to work better. We need to improve our systems so that the lines of communication are better open. This has been a situation that has led to concrete changes in how we move forward. But, Mr. Speaker, again, we are continuing to move forward on the things that matter to Canadians, which include
the Honourable Member for Desnethi, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Indigenous people across the country want their inherent rights to be recognized. Yes. Decades of mercury poisoning in grassy narrows is no laughing matter. Indigenous people want to live with dignity and have a good quality of life. The Prime Minister said his comments lacked respect. What he didn't say was he lacks the will to seriously listen to Indigenous people. Enough empty words from this Prime Minister. Will he commit to visit the people of Grassy Narrows and give them the respect and attention they deserve?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've committed to forging a new relationship with Indigenous peoples based on trust, respect, and the true spirit of cooperation, not just empty words like the member opposite accuses us of. We have made historic investments since 2015, including advancing reconciliation in concrete ways, securing a better quality of life, improving access to safe, clean drinking water. Investments have increased by 50%, and there's still, of course, more work to do. So in Budget 2019, we eliminated barriers to quality health care and culturally relevant social supports. We're funding post-secondary.
Order. I'd ask the member for Lakeland to come to order. The member for Churchill-Kiwetinoong, ASCII.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has shown a profound disrespect towards Indigenous peoples. He mocks protesters when seeking justice for Grassy Narrows, turns his back on Indigenous peoples, saying no to his pipeline, and now fires one of the most prominent Indigenous women in Canada for speaking truth to power. Indigenous peoples have had enough of this disrespect. Colonialism is alive and well in this country. Many still live in third world living conditions. So why won't this Prime Minister listen to what they are saying? And why does he continuously show such disrespect to Indigenous peoples?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning, this government has been focused on partnership with Indigenous peoples. We've been focused on moving forward in ways that respect and uplift Indigenous peoples and communities, and we have been doing that with hundreds of new school projects, better access to health care, eliminating 82 long-term boil water advisories, and on track to eliminating 100% of them within the 5 years we committed to. We know there's tremendous work being done on new relationships, including new fiscal relationships, on new governance relationships. We are working forward on the path to reconciliation, but we admit there's much more.
The Honourable Member for Milton.
In 2002, 3 women appeared on the cover of Time magazine as Persons of the Year. They were whistleblowers. They took risks to reveal illegal or unethical practices in their own organizations. And these women inspired me when I was a young lawyer in 2002. And today we have 2 more women who are probably very inspiring for the women across this country who also took risks to speak their truth. And indeed, they were thrown out the door of the Liberal Party. Mr. Speaker, why has the Prime Minister decided that whistleblowers need to be punished and not appreciated?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the members opposite, we have always embraced a range of viewpoints and perspectives within our party. That is something that actually strengthens the Liberal Party and allows us to do a better job of listening to Canadians from coast to coast to coast and governing in a way that is inclusive rather than divisive. That is what we will continue to do. But ultimately, diversity only works if there is also trust, Mr. Speaker. And when that relationship of trust was broken within our caucus, I had to take a difficult decision, and I did.
The Honourable Member for Milton. Order.
Trust goes both ways, doesn't it? And I think that's something the Prime Minister needs to remember. Women are quite often whistleblowers, and I'll tell you why. For many years, we were not part of boardrooms, and we sat on the sidelines of what happens in the corporate boardroom and in legislatures. And as a result, we are uniquely placed to see when ethical lapses are happening. We also do have the courage to step up and speak when we need to. The Prime Minister may believe that he has dealt with this by throwing 2 people out of the Liberal Party, but many more courageous women are here, and they're here today, and they're watching. What does the Prime Minister have to say to them?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I was proud that for the first time in history, we brought in a gender-balanced cabinet, bringing in strong women from across the country to be a full part of this government. And I would very much like to hear from the member opposite if she can tell us that her party has made the commitment that if they should form government again, they will have a gender-balanced cabinet. That would be a wonderful thing, I think, to announce to the women in this room today who very much want to see a gender balance as the way forward in boardrooms, in courtrooms, and in the House of Parliament and in government.
Order. 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 The Honourable Minister of the Status of Women and the member from Milton will come to order.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthur Basker. The Prime Minister has just said that he is proud of having diversity, but as soon as 2 women have the courage to be transparent and honest and tell the truth, the first thing he does is he kicks them out of the Liberal caucus. And meanwhile, we still have the same issue. We have a Prime Minister who got involved in a legal file, in a criminal file, and this, if he has nothing to hide, will he allow the disclosure of documents from his former clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Wernick? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what the member is saying is untrue. We didn't act right away. We took weeks and weeks to try and see if there was a way that we could bring the caucus together and to work with the individuals in question. We wanted to move forward as a united team, reflecting Canadians' priorities. We took this very seriously. Our new leadership approach tried to unite people and include various perspectives. When we saw that the relationship of trust had been broken, we had to act. The honourable member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, my question was simple. La Presse has requested access to all the documents from Michael Wernick from November 1st to December 15th. What did the government reply? That the documents would only be available in 240 days. What a coincidence. 4 weeks after the elections. If the Prime Minister has nothing to hide, can he commit today in front of us here in this House, in front of Canadians, to make these documents available like the La Presse requested? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government strengthened the access to information system, and we're examining this request, and we're going to respond in due time when we will have the opportunity to do so. We firmly believe in access to information, in transparency, and notably in the extraordinary work that journalists throughout the country are doing to protect our democracy and to keep Canadians informed.
East.
Today in this chamber, dozens of the daughters of the vote turned their backs to this Prime Minister. Why? Because they support strong, independent women speaking truth to power. Because they know integrity is the cornerstone of your character. By kicking the first Indigenous Attorney General of Canada out of caucus for upholding the law, the Prime Minister has made it clear that principled women who dare to stand up to him are not welcome in the Liberal Party. Is this what a self-proclaimed feminist looks like in 2019?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as a government, we have moved forward in significant and meaningful ways on gender equality. I'm proud of our development assistance policy that is fundamentally feminist. I'm proud that we've put forward budgets with a GBA plus analysis. I'm proud that we've moved forward on pay equity, that we've moved forward on funding for women's organizations across this country, that we've moved forward on a gender-balanced cabinet. I recognize there is much more to do, and I am proud that there is now a contest amongst party leaders to see who can be the better feminist. I think that's a great thing for this country. I think that's a great thing for Parliament.
The order. 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 The honourable member. Order. Order. The honourable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, in 15 years I've dealt with all manner of Indian Affairs ministers, but the member for Markham-Stouffville was one who got things done. I worked with her on the health and suicide crisis in the north. She committed to the relocation of Saskatchewan. We battled to instill Jordan's principle as the legal right, and yet to see the Liberal caucus publicly trash her reputation with words like traitor and repugnant and joined at the hip with her colleague, that's just not acceptable. She deserves this. Doesn't the Prime Minister understand that?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I agree entirely with the member opposite that when he points out that we have done big things as a government on the path to reconciliation, and a lot of it is due to the extraordinary leadership of our former Indigenous Services Minister. But he will also know that approach on reconciliation requires a whole-of-government approach, and I can highlight that every single cabinet minister in this government has been working very hard on reconciliation and is partially responsible for the tremendous advances we have made on this path. There is much more to do, and we are going to continue, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Outremont.
Mr. Speaker, let us talk for a moment about how we can continue to improve the lives of our middle-class Canadians right across the country. Chez nous, dans Outremont.
In Outremont, We have already invested in infrastructure projects, incredible ones. I'm thinking of the Metro Blue Line, the new campus for the University of Montreal, just to name a few. Can the Prime Minister update this House on how Budget 2019 continues to invest in Canadian municipalities and meet their needs? The Honourable Prime Minister. I'd like to thank the member for Outremont for her hard work and for her question. In Budget 2019, we're investing $2.2 billion directly into our communities and those who have shown they're most willing and able to get projects done. As the Federation of Canadian Municipalities said, this is a significant turning point for cities and communities across Canada. The Conservatives don't know what it's like to work alongside municipalities. Their record was 10 years of neglect. But on this side of the House, we're working together with our partners to build stronger, more sustainable communities in Outremont and all across the country.
Opposition House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we know the former Attorney General was telling the truth. She was being inappropriately pressured by the Prime Minister. The tape proves it, and the Prime Minister should have finally admitted that she was right. But that's not what happened. Instead, he kicked her out of caucus. And then he sent out his Liberal MPs to smear and insult her. We even saw the Liberal member from Brossard-St. Lambert accuse the former Attorney General of treason. Will the Prime Minister stand up now and have the integrity to denounce these outrageous and insulting comments?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, everyone on this side of the House understands that a range of perspectives and opinions is essential in representing Canadians from coast to coast to coast in their hopes and aspirations, in standing up for our institutions, and, Mr. Speaker, in standing up for their jobs. We are going to continue to do what matters to Canadians in investing in their jobs, investing in their future while defending our institutions. We will continue to do that as a strong, united team, because that's what Canadians expect.
The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
That's an absolutely cowardly response from the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. By not denouncing those comments, the Prime Minister is endorsing the smear campaign leveled against the former Attorney General and the former President of the Treasury Board. Yeah. These women are being punished for the crime of telling the truth and having the proof to back it up. Yeah. They stood up to the Prime Minister and they refused to be silent. Why did the Prime Minister punish these strong women for doing what was right, for telling the truth, and for standing up to his good old boys club?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the good old boys club is gone because we have a gender-balanced cabinet in which strong women stand up every day for their constituents, for people right across the country. Now, the Conservatives can pick and choose who they want to support, what individuals they want to listen to. We listen to all voices, Mr. Speaker. We respect all voices. They are crassly exploiting a political situation for their own advantage and not thinking about the consequences on Canadians when we don't stand up for jobs, when we don't invest in opportunities for youth, when we don't support women's organizations like they...
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know what the Prime Minister thinks of these female ministers, the Minister of International Development, who said if we'd done politics like it used to be done, they would have been kicked out 2 months ago. This is why we say it's doing politics differently, unquote. The Prime Minister kicked 2 women out of his caucus because they stood up and defended their principles. Since when is firing the Attorney General for protecting our justice system a way of doing politics differently? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to work for the benefit of Canadians while respecting our institutions and the rule of law and protecting jobs and investing in our communities and working on reconciliation and fighting climate change. These are all things the Conservatives can't talk about and don't want to talk about because they have no plan for the environment, no plan for the economy, no plan for equality between the sexes, no plan to meet Canadians' priorities. All they can do is petty politics. The Honourable Member for Beauport. They have a plan to get rid of women. Yesterday, the Prime Minister kicked 2 former ministers out of his caucus for questionable reasons and to try to salvage his image. Following this decision, the Minister of Tourism was asked about the shaky ground the Prime Minister was standing on. And she simply said, quote, you're either loyal or you're not. Since when is telling the truth a disloyal act? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, for weeks and weeks, we worked with the 2 individuals in question to try to find a way to move forward because we knew full well that the 2 former members of our caucus agreed on the values of reconciliation, on economic growth for the middle class, on protecting the environment. So we're still looking to move forward on those agenda items. But when there's a breach of trust, when that trust was eroded, we couldn't continue to work together as a team. I think everyone understands that. The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. When one gains power, you actually respect the institutions, you respect the voice for 338 ridings that was sent to Parliament, you allow for real debate and real process. You have ministers who are actually ministers of their departments, not just spokespeople for PMO. Who said that? The current Prime Minister in Maclean's magazine in October 2014. How things have changed. Yesterday, the Prime Minister ordered out 2 former ministers, 2 women who were so bold as to stand up to him. Is that how the Prime Minister sees wielding power? Obey my orders or you're out the door? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we listen and respect all voices. But the members opposite don't want to listen to those who are still in our caucus, those who are still in our cabinet, those who want to talk about the work this government continues to do to deliver in concrete terms on our promises to Canadians, to invest in the middle class and Canadians. We have a united team where there is still a relationship of trust amongst us. Unfortunately, the 2 former members of our caucus, for them, that trust was broken. The Honourable Member. In the last election, the Liberal Party made a lot of promises, changing the way we vote, getting rid of subsidies to the oil patch, boosting development assistance, respecting First Nations, cracking down on tax cheats. None of that's been done. But they also promised to do politics differently and to reduce the concentration of power in PMO. Today we see that ministers and members must do exactly as they're told. Does the Prime Minister realize he no longer has any credibility and that everyone has lost confidence in him? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. We were elected on a promise to invest in the middle class and in our communities, and that's precisely what we've done. We have helped create over 900,000 new jobs. We've reduced the unemployment rate to its lowest rate in over 40 years. We have made our growth among the highest in the G7. We continue to demonstrate that growth requires the middle class because we are investing in the middle class. We are delivering on the promises we made, and that's what Canadians expect.
Member for Carleton.
The Prime Minister told Canadians if anyone thought he'd done anything wrong on SNC, then, quote, it was their responsibility to come forward, and no one did. Yet text messages, journal entries, and audio recordings prove the former Attorney General did come forward and complain to him and his top staff on September 16th, 17th, 19th, October 26th, November 22nd, December 5th, 18th, and 19th. Does he really claim that he knew absolutely nothing about the complaint she brought forward in more than a half dozen meetings?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in my direct encounter meeting with the former Attorney General in September, I confirmed to her that the decision around DPA was hers and hers alone. That is what has been clear throughout this entire process. There have been 13 hours of testimony, including 4 by the former Attorney General, allowed for by the fact that we put forward an unprecedented waiver that suspended solicitor-client privilege in this matter, that suspended cabinet confidentiality so that she could speak fully to this matter that was being looked at by the Justice Committee.
The member for Carleton.
And at that September meeting, the Attorney General reports that she looked the Prime Minister in the eye and said, "Are you interfering with my role as Attorney General?" Because I strongly advise against it. Does the Prime Minister remember her saying any such thing?
Honourable Prime Minister.
And Mr. Speaker, once she said that, I responded, no, I am not. It is her decision to make. And she then committed to revisit and look into the decision once again, Mr. Speaker. All these are elements in the testimony that we have heard, that the Justice Committee examined exhaustively. But once again, we see the member opposite is desperate to talk about anything other than our budget, anything other than the economic growth we're putting forward, anything other than our concrete plan to fight climate change, because they have no plan on any of that. No plan.
The honourable member for Carleton.
And now the Prime Minister has caught himself in a trap of his own making. He came out on February 15th and said that no one had come forward to raise any concerns about his conduct. And now he admits on the floor of the House of Commons that way before, in September, his own Attorney General asked him to his face if he was interfering. Why is it the Prime Minister having so much difficulty remembering his story? Is it because it's simply not true?
The honourable member for Durham will come to order. Order. The honourable member for Banff Airdrie also. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is twisting himself into rhetorical knots to try and make a point that simply is not there. We have been crystal clear throughout this process, Mr. Speaker. We have allowed the testimonies to be heard through the Justice Committee because of an unprecedented waiver we put forward, suspending both cabinet confidentiality and solicitor-client privilege. We continue to very much stand up for our institutions and the rule of law, while always standing up for Canadians and their jobs right across the country. We will continue to do that, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Well, now the Prime Minister has effectively admitted that when he looked 37 million Canadians in the eye on February the 15th and told them that the Attorney General had never spoken a word about her concerns, that he was stating a patent falsehood. There is a word for that kind of falsehood that I cannot utter on the floor of the House of Commons. Will the Prime Minister, having now caught himself in his own trap of contradiction and deception, now apologize to the Canadian people for stating that falsehood on February 15th?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Order.
Mr. Speaker, the member from Carleton continues to try and find inconsistencies where there simply are none. We are going to continue to work together as a government on the things that matter to Canadians, as a strong, united team that is secure in the trust of this team as we move forward. We're going to stay focused on the things that matter, while the members opposite try to clutch at straws and create political complications where there are none. We are going to stay focused on Canadians while they stay focused on us.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, this past Monday marked the 70th anniversary since my province of Newfoundland and Labrador joined Confederation. And since 1949, our province has made an invaluable contribution to the social and cultural fabric of our nation. We've seen some unprecedented economic growth and development. Can the Prime Minister please update this House on the details of the renewed Atlantic Accord agreement with the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, and how this will benefit every single person in our province? Thank you.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Long Range Mountains and the Minister for Indigenous Services for their incredible work on securing a strong future for Newfoundland and Labrador. We were pleased to conclude the renewal of the New Atlantic Accord with the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador. We've reached a new resource sharing agreement which will create and protect good middle-class jobs. We're going to develop natural resources in the right way and will set the stage for sustained economic growth for years to come. This agreement supports a better, more secure future for generations of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, and I want to thank everyone involved for their tremendous work.
The honourable member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister sent a very clear message yesterday to all Canadians. Liberal members of Parliament are here to do what the Prime Minister says or else. The devastating cost for anyone who stands on principle and tells the truth is to be fired, humiliated, and discarded. The Prime Minister holds the highest office in the land. He must serve Canada and defend our democracy, the rule of law, and the truth. When will he start living up to the obligations of his office?
Honourable Prime Minister.
We spent weeks working with the former Attorney General and others to try and find a path forward to rebuild the links of trust that must exist within a team at any point for it to function. We took the time to try and find a path forward, and amid many criticisms that we needed to act sooner, we did not. We wanted to demonstrate a different way and a different approach to politics that looks for common ground, that looks for path forwards. Only when it became very clear that there was a broken bond of trust that was not going to be able to be rebuilt did we take serious.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are watching. What they saw yesterday is 2 women ministers get shown the door for speaking truth to power, and now he's not willing to answer any questions about the matter. The only reason he continues with these non-answers is if the truth is even worse. Canadians deserve to know the truth before they go to the polls in October. So will the Prime Minister do what's right and call a public inquiry now?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, apparently unlike the member opposite, we have confidence in the work of our House committees, and we respect the work that the Justice Committee did, hearing hours upon hours of testimony, including testimony that was allowed for by the fact that we emitted a unprecedented waiver of both solicitor-client privilege and cabinet confidentiality to allow the former Attorney General and others to speak fully to the matter under investigation by the Justice Committee. That is the kind of openness and transparency that Canadians expect, and that is what we will always stand for.
I'm hearing language that could be considered unparliamentary. I'd ask members to be cautious about such things. The honourable member for Bay of Quinte.
This week I was pleased to see that Hastings County will be receiving more than $1.4 million to help fight homelessness. This funding is part of Canada's first ever national housing strategy, in which our government committed to reducing chronic homelessness by at least 50% over the next decade. Could the Prime Minister tell the House how the national housing strategy and reaching home, the government's redesigned homelessness partnering strategy, is helping Canada's most at-risk people find safe, affordable, accessible places to call home? Thank you.
Prime Minister.
I thank the member of Bay of Quinte for his question and for his hard work for his constituents. We recognize that one person living in homelessness is one too many. We announced Canada's first ever national housing strategy and made record investments in housing. Reaching Home, our homelessness partnering strategy, sets ambitious targets and doubles funding to fight homelessness, reducing it by 50% in the coming years. Reaching Home makes more communities eligible to receive funding, helps us meet our ambitious targets, and mostly helps vulnerable people across our country.
Member for Chilliwack Hope.
Canadians watched with disgust as these Liberals stood and applauded as the Prime Minister kicked 2 MPs out of the Liberal Party for having the audacity to stand up to him and speak truth to power. These Liberals may have decided that there is no greater principle than covering up corruption, but Canadians know better. Throughout this entire affair, the Prime Minister has refused to tell the truth about his involvement in a concerted campaign to interfere in an ongoing criminal investigation. So why doesn't he just do the honorable thing for once, apologize and resign?
Minister. Order.
Mr. Speaker, about 6 months from now, Canadians will have an opportunity to go to the polls and choose what the future of the country will look like. And I suspect from conversations we've had with Canadians, they're going to be making choices around who has a better plan for the economy, who has a real plan to fight climate change, who has a plan for reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, who is going to move forward in a way that responds to their real concerns. Well, the Conservatives promised a plan to fight climate change 339 days ago and still refuse to talk about anything.
The honourable member for Whitby. Order.
Mr. Speaker, today we had 338 Daughters of the Vote take their seats in the House of Commons. They represented the strength and integrity that Canadians value. This morning, as we listened to their statements, I was inspired and acutely understand that they get it. They understand the power of their actions, the power of unity, and the power of their voice. I want to encourage them to continue to speak their truth and to continue to stand up for justice, and we stand with you.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
For Whitby for her strong words and her unflagging compassion and passion for bringing Canada forward. Bringing more women into the political process and our democratic institutions is fundamental if we are to achieve gender equality. That's why the work of Equal Voice and the Daughters of the Vote is so timely and crucial. And that's why we were proud to invest $3.8 million for Daughters of the Vote. I thank Equal Voice and the Daughters of the Vote program for its important work, and I wish great success for all the daughters who are here in Ottawa this week.
L'honorable député de Mirabel se lève avec un appel au règlement.
The honourable member for Mirabel is rising on a point of order. Indeed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think you'll find unanimous consent for the following motion. That this House underline the 52nd anniversary of the expropriation of the residents of Mirabel, and that this House call on the government to present formal apologies to the citizens of Quebec who were expropriated in 1969 by the federal government so that the Mirabel airport could be built. Does the honourable member have unanimous consent to move the motion? No, there is no unanimous consent.
The honourable member for Cowichan and Malahat Langford is rising on a point of order, rising on a question period.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, a point of order. In a moment, I'll be seeking unanimous consent for a motion. As we all know in this House, our canola producers are going through a lot of hardship right now, and I hope, because the House has not yet had its chance to voice its opinion on this matter, that all members in this House will join me in giving support to the following motion. That in the opinion of the House, the government recognize the importance and value of canola as an agricultural crop and do everything in its power to resolve the current trade